Hey everybody, I am sitting at a place where, in my experience of working with people, most injuries come from, and most injuries that people have won't get better unless certain changes are made, all right? What do I mean by that? I'm sitting in a chair at a desk, all right? What I'm gonna do is give you some tips, some stretches, and some small things you can do to your workstation to help you alleviate the neck pain and the back pain that a lot of us suffer when we're sitting at a desk for a long period of time, all right? Let's go. One of the best things you can do to help alleviate lumbar tightness and hip tightness is adjusting your chair position, all right? This makes a world of a difference, okay? So when you're in a position where your knees are parallel or slightly higher than your hips, meaning if I'm sitting in a lower chair, what's gonna happen is when I bring my feet up, it's immediately gonna round my shoulders, okay? So my body's gonna compensate for balance by leaning forward, okay? When I bring my feet lower, it's a lot easier for me to sit upright, okay? So one thing that you need to do is make sure that your seat, if it's adjustable, if you can, try to get into a position where your knees are below my hips. This is kind of like the maximum, the highest I would prefer my knees to be. Again, this is an elevated chair, so it's a little bit easier, and there's a little rail for my feet to rest on. Again, that's gonna make sure that you're not here rounding your back, nor do you wanna be at the opposite, this position right here, okay? So first thing to do, adjust your seat position. All right, so another thing that needs to be considered is also the height of your workstation, your desk, okay? So this is someplace where I would not be apt to feel comfortable working. Reason because the desk is really high, even though I have really long limbs and I'm tall. When I'm on my computer here, if it's close to me, I kind of have to do this and shrug my shoulders to get my hands on the keys, all right? If it was lower, I could have my shoulders rested and my hands lower, okay? So that's another thing. Think about knees to hips. Think of the relation of your shoulder, your elbow, and your hand, right? When your hand is slightly below your wrist, it's more relaxed. Also, too, one thing I noticed when my hands are up here, after a while, my forearms start to, not cramp, but get a little tight, and then my fingers start to get a little fatigued as well. Basically, blood flow isn't going to those extremities as efficiently as it should be, so you're gonna start feeling weird little cramps in your hands and in your position because of the position of your wrist. So making sure that your workstation, again, that's gonna be relative to your chair, you wanna make sure that your hands, if possible, are a bit lower than your elbow. All right? One really important tip that I like to give people is to get up frequently, okay? The longer you sit, even if you're heeding those tips I gave you about your position of your wrist with your desk as well as the position of your chair, if you're doing those, that's great, but the longer you sit, the stiffer you're gonna get, all right? Literally, when I sit for a long period of time, I kind of get aggravated and kind of get into a crabby mood. So get up every, for every hour, maybe get up for 5 minutes or whatever. Go for a little walk around your office, your workstation, or outside. And also, too, make sure you're doing some sort of light stretching throughout the day, okay? So a simple stretch to help open up the hips. You can use your desk to help brace, okay? So when these hip flexors get tight from sitting, it forces our posture into this position, so we want to release those. So you can get into a staggered stance position, just standing in place, and then just squeezing your glute of that rear leg really tight, and then slightly shifting down and forward, all right, like you're going down towards your front heel. And that's gonna open up the hips a little bit, give you a little bit of relief, okay, both sides of those, okay? Another stretch that I like to do also is just kind of hands on the desk and just kind of driving back and taking some deep breaths, okay? Really getting those lat muscles stretched out and also help relieve stress in the neck, okay? So I hope those tips were helpful. If you have any questions, please let us know. And I guarantee if you follow these little tips, you'll have a much better work experience and you might be a little more productive as well.